Hi, I'm Mark Welch with GMG Americas, and I'm going to do a short video on how to make a shrink sleeve label and shrink it around the bottle. So here's my label. This is actually JetComp PVC shrink material, and I've trimmed it so that I have trimmed it flush with the ink on one edge, and I have 1/4 of an inch of clear on the other edge. I can't have any glue, any ink on the area where I'm gonna have glue, so you have to have a clear area for the glue to stick. The tools I'm going to use here today are a folding bone. This is a common item you can buy at the local craft store. I have a X-Acto knife with the number 11 blade, a steel ruler. This is a nice ruler because it's heavy. That's really helpful. I'm using a steel washer. You'll see what that's for in a minute. Probably one of the most important parts of this process is this heat tape. This tape is a thin, it's like a 1mm material with a high temperature adhesive. I can put it on the label and it will shrink with the material as I heat it with the gun. I have a tape dispenser, a full-size tape dispenser with the heat tape and masking tape in it. I have a cutting mat that's a self-healing cutting mat, and then I have a piece of stiff paper. This is actually GMG proofing material, but could be any kind of stiff paper that I'm going to use, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. I use super glue. This is actually the Gorilla brand super glue. I find that I like the dispenser for this one. About any super glue will work. It just depends on what you're comfortable using. Okay. So to get this process started, we're going to fold the label over and line it up with the edge, so I have it lined up so that it's square. And now I'm going to take the folding bone and I'm going to put a hard crease in this edge. So you can see right here that I've made a hard crease. You would think this crease would show up in the bottle when we're done, but it actually shrinks right out. It'll disappear. So the next thing I'll do is I'll lay the other side over it with the overlap and line it up exactly where it goes. Take my folding bone again and make the crease. Now, we now have it registered in such a way that when it's glued this way, it'll be in the right place so I can shrink it over the bottle. So now all we have to do is glue it up. I'm going to slide this under the tape, under the paper, like this. The paper keeps any excess glue on the bottom from going onto the inside of the label. You can't get super glue on this ink on this side. It'll actually dissolve the ink and make a mess, and you can't use the label. So I'm going to lay one side down, and then I'm going to use my washer to hold that down. So it's just holding the bottom layer down, and then I'm going to lay the top layer on top with the flap on it, and take my ruler and lay it on there like that, and then fold it over. Now if I let go of this flap, it's going to land exactly where it's supposed to go. Okay, so now I need to take and lay a real thin bead of super glue on the edge of the label where it's going to glue together. Don't use too much, it gets messy. And then lay it down and gently hold it down. Now here's where the tape comes in. I'm going to take my heat tape, and I want to lay this half on the top layer and half on the bottom layer, right down the middle of the seam, and push down. Now I'm going to take my folding bone and create a real solid contact between the two layers so the glue is pressed together, and I've got a nice smooth seal. I'll take my knife, I cut off the excess tape, and then just slide it off the paper. So now we have the label ready to shrink. Now there is some glue on the paper right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's the glue that came out the bottom. and I'm going to take a rag and wipe that off. It dries in a couple of seconds, so it's okay for the next layer. But after I do 2 or 3 of these, I end up with, you know, like this. I'll just take it off, and what I usually do is just turn it over and then use this side for 3 or 4 labels. So you'll go through a few of these in the process. Okay, now I'm ready to shrink the bottle. I take a bottle and fit it. I push it down all the way to the bottom. Now for this, I'm using a Tac Life heat gun. This particular heat gun is available from Amazon. It's about $50. I think it's nice about this gun is it has a thermostatically controlled temperature. So I've got it set to 320 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the right temperature for the film and not too hot to melt the bottle. It only takes a couple of seconds to warm up. And now I'm going to start at the bottom of the bottle, and I'm going to go around in a circle. Don't want to be in any one place very long. It'll distort the bottle. I'll go around in a circle, working my way up the bottle from the bottom to the middle, until I get to the point where it starts to distort like that. So now it's basically shrunk to the bottom, and we just got to finish the neck. So what I want to do is hold down on the bottle and take my finger and my thumb and lift up on the shrink film like this, holding it straight, and go from the bottom up. So pull up gently, and don't pull too hard. When it's hot, it'll actually stretch your fingers. And work your way around, working from the bottom up. After you do this a few times, you'll get the hang of it. It's pretty simple. Now we've got the label basically conformed to the bottle, and now we just got to finish the shrinking process by working the gun, once again working from the bottom to the top, working my way around the neck, working out wrinkles and bubbles that I see, and don't stay in any one place very long. Now I can inspect the bottle. I got a little wrinkle down here I can work out. This one I did a pretty good job on. It's pretty smooth. So we're basically done. So now I can take the tape off. And you can see that the seam we've made is basically invisible. It's right here. One of the things the heat tape does is it keeps this edge on the top from wrinkling. I call that bacon edge. And if you don't have the tape there, it's hard to make this top edge look smooth. So there we have it. The complete process of making a shrink sleeve label and shrinking it around a bottle. For more information, contact your GMG representative, and we'll be glad to help you. Thanks.